Allah is my heart's speech. Your mercy is what I beseech. Keep in my heart your remembrance, and in your deen allow me to advance. Help me in my quest. Permit me to pass the ultimate test. Help me in my quest. Permit me to pass the ultimate test.
Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen. والصلاة والسلام على المبعوث رحمة للعالمين نبينا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين. Dear brothers and sisters in Islam, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh, and welcome to this new episode of Ask Huda, broadcasting live from Jeddah, Saudi Arabia. And you will see, inshallah, the numbers displayed at the bottom of the screen in case you have a question, and I'll try my level best to answer it with the grace of Allah Azza wa Jal. There are few questions that came through the email, and you can also send me your queries and emails on the link you will find displayed at the bottom of the screen as well, www.asimulhakim.net/contact. Aisha says, can a woman wipe over her hijab in Mecca since she is surrounded by strange men? A lot of women ask about this issue, and that is they don't want to take off their hijab. When they're making wudu, they just want to wipe over their hijab, saying that if we take off the hijab, men would see our hair, and this is not permissible. Well, first of all, what is the origin of wiping over what you wear on your head? The hadith that the Prophet ﷺ wiped over the turban. And wiping over the turban has conditions. So am I allowed to wipe on what I'm wearing on my head at the moment? Scholars say no, because it's easily removed and put back again. I can do that without any difficulty. The turban that the Prophet and the companions used to wear was too difficult to wear, and they say that it is the one that goes underneath your chin. So it goes on top of your head, and then it goes underneath the chin, and it is sort of locked on a person's head. So this is difficult to remove, like the turban that our brothers from Sudan, for example, wear. It takes a while to put on and to take off. So if it is difficult to take off, then in this case, yes, you can. So now the sisters would like to have a similar ruling when it comes to their scarves, so that men could not see them. But the problem is that if you're performing wudu in haram and there are men around you, how are you going to wash your arms? Definitely they will see that, which is even worse than exposing part of your hair unintentionally. So the way I see it, no. The answer is no. You could easily do this from underneath your hijab. You can do this underneath. So this is not a mistake. I hope the director leaves the camera as it is, and without exposing your hair. And there's no need for you to do anything else. But in cases that it is extremely cold or in severe conditions where you have to do something of a sort, then in this case it's okay for you to wipe over it, but with the same conditions displayed in the case of the man's turban. Aisha says, a man from my region created a Muslim censer carpet which is supposed to help Muslims during prayer. It will count the number of rak'ah and will vibrate if you make a mistake. Also, I read on a Russian Islamic group about an application for phones which is called rak'ah counter, which will do the same thing. Is this permissible? As it is, no, it's not permissible. This is bid'ah. To have something like that count over your prayer and notifies you by vibration or by a ringtone or by an SMS, this is all an innovation. This is uncalled for, and therefore one should not do anything as such. However, I may be inclined to say that this is permissible only for those who have severe state of OCD, obsessive compulsive disorder, those who are severely affected in the sense that every single prayer, they're completely lost. They don't know what's happening and they lose count. In this case, for such people, I hope that this would become permissible, and Allah Azza wa Jal knows best. We have Rayhana from Saudi.
Assalamu alaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Salam wa barakatuh.
Yeah, Sheikh, today I have 5 questions. Actually, my one question has 3 parts. Can I ask you, Sheikh?
Yes.
Yeah. My first question is, when the Muadhin says, Ashhadu anna Muhammad Rasulullah, after repeating, shall we say Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam or not? And after Adhan, when the after Adhan, when we say prayers and salutations on Prophet Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam and say the dua, Allahumma rabba hadihi da'wati tamma, before that, shall we say La ilaha illallah wahdahu la sharika lahu till end and raditu billahi rabba? Is this proven with authentic sunnah or not? And my third question is, should we say something while iqama is going on or not? And my fourth question is, last 2 verses of Baqarah are sufficient or shall we recite the whole surah so that shayateen will not enter the house for 3 days, as Musnad Ahmad reported? And my last question is, I want to know the brief explanation of Surah An-Nur verse 35, Allahu nuru samawati wal ard, for a layman to understand. I know many volumes have been written, but in short, if you can give a short explanation to understand the verse, I'll be thankful to you. Jazakallahu khairan. May Allah reward you and the whole team with Firdaus. Ameen. Assalamu alaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Salam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Farhat from Saudi.
Assalamu alaikum.
Salam to Allah.
Sheikh, my first question is, when someone says Assalamu alaikum, can we in return answer Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuhu wa maghfiratuhu wa rizwanuhu wa maghfiratuhu and rizwanuhu? Can we say that also? And the second question is, when we are listening to the Quran and if the sajda comes, the person who is reading it, it is wajib, it is compulsory on the person who is reading it. But is it compulsory on the person who is listening to it also? And if it is, then can he or she do it at the same, after some time?
Okay.
And my third question is, if we are eating and the azan starts, so should we stop eating?
Okay.
And answer the azan? Or
Okay.
can we eat during the azan?
Okay, I will answer you, inshallah.
Jazakallah khair.
Wa jazakum. I think these questions are more than enough for the rest of the program. Jazakumullah khair. Rehana gave 5 questions, and she says that when the muadhin is calling for the adhan, he said, Ashhadu anna Muhammadan Rasulullah. Shall we offer salutation to the Prophet ﷺ? The answer is no. And the reason is that this was not reported by the Prophet ﷺ nor his companions. So whenever there is a specific dua or a specific ayah, for example in the Quran, the Imam is reading Muhammadur Rasulullah, you don't say Allahumma salli wa sallim ala Muhammad in your heart. Why? Because this was not directed to us, it was not ordered to do this or requested to do it by the Prophet ﷺ, nor did the companions do it. May Allah be pleased with them. She says that after the adhan, there are a number of supplications. One of them is La ilaha illallah wahdahu la sharika lahu mulku wa hamdu wa ala kulli shay'in qadir, offering salutation to the Prophet ﷺ, Allahumma rabba hadhihi ad-da'wa at-tamma was-salati al-qa'ima, and also raditu billahi rabban wa bil islami dinan wa bi Muhammadin nabiyya aw rasula. This is also authentic, and you can say that, inshallah. Is there anything to be said while the iqamah is given? Because sometimes we hear people, when the muadhin says, قَدْ قَامَتِ الصَّلَاةُ قَدْ قَامَتِ الصَّلَاةُ, he says, أَقَامَهَا اللَّهُ أَدَامَهَا. This is a weak hadith. It's not an authentic hadith. And there isn't anything for you to say when the iqamah is being recited, nor after the iqamah has been finished. You don't say anything. As for the last 2 ayahs of Surah Al-Baqarah, آمن الرسول بما أنزل إليه من ربه والمؤمنون, these 2 ayahs, as in the authentic hadith, prevents shaitan from entering the house for 3 nights. And if you recite Surah Al-Baqarah, the whole thing, then this is even greater. But for those who are as lazy as I am, this is sufficient for them to recite it every single night, and it's part of your bedtime adhkar as well. As for the interpretation of Allahu Nuru Samawati wal Ard, Allah Azza wa Jal is saying that one of His attributes that He is the light of the heavens and the earth. And everything you see around you, the light of it comes from Allah the Almighty. And without Allah Azza wa Jal willing it, it will all be in darkness. And Allah gives the similitude of His light in, as you know, in the ayah, and explaining it would require a lot of time, but if you go to the tafsir, it shows you how magnificent and how pure and how majestic Allah's light is. And definitely without Allah's light, Allah's guidance to us, we are in total darkness, because it is He alone who had gotten us out of darkness into the light through His revelation to our Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam and through Islam. Farhat from Saudi Arabia says that what's the ruling in adding? When someone gives salam, you add wa alaykum as-salam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuhu wa maghfiratuhu wa ridwanuhu. There is a hadith where it says that when someone says assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh, you add reply the word wa maghfiratuh. So you say wa alaykum as-salam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh wa maghfiratuh. But this hadith is not authentic. And because it is not authentic, we refrain from adding anything to it. Abdullah ibn Umar ibn al-Khattab, may Allah be pleased with him and with his father, once heard a man sneezing and then saying after he sneezed, Alhamdulillah, wassalatu wassalamu ala rasulillah. And we all know that offering salutation to the Prophet ﷺ is one of the greatest deeds and the best means of making dhikr. However, Ibn Umar, may Allah be pleased with him, stopped the man. And he said, and I too offer salutation to the Prophet ﷺ, but this is not how the Prophet ﷺ taught us to do. The Prophet told us when some of you, or when one of you sneezes, he should say, Alhamdulillah. And he did not add anything to it. So we should not add anything to it. Farhat said that we know that the prostration for the person reciting the Quran, what's known as sujood tilawa, a prostration of the recitation, is obligatory and mandatory. And a footnote here, it is not neither obligatory nor mandatory. So this is a correction that you have to understand. It is highly recommended, but it is not mandatory or obligatory upon the person reading the Quran and passing by a verse that includes a recitation prostration. So if someone is listening to a person reciting the Quran and he passes by this ayah, the answer would be that yes, it is not recommended for the listener to prostrate unless the imam or the person reciting prostrates himself. So for example, someone is sitting next to me and he recites an ayah of prostration and he says, and he prostrates. So as a listener, I'm listening attentively to him, it is sunnah for me to prostrate. But if I don't, there's nothing wrong in that. Now, if he recites and does not prostrate, it is not recommended for me to prostrate. It is not sunnah for me to prostrate. And likewise, if I'm listening to the radio, it is not part of the sunnah for me to prostrate once I hear the ayah being recited. Now, her last question is that eating while the adhan is going on, is it permissible or should we stop? No, you should continue. There's nothing in the sunnah that requires or even recommends that you stop. Keep on eating. And a lot of the sisters, especially from the subcontinent, think that they have to wear their hijab when the adhan is on. And they have to wear their hijab, cover their hair when they eat or when they go to answer the call of nature, and all of this is baseless. Abdul Kareem from Saudi.
Yes, Assalamu alaikum.
Salamullah.
Yes, Sheikh, I wanted to know if liposuction, is it allowed in Islam or not?
If what?
Liposuction.
Okay. I don't. Okay, so a person who has fat, he wants to become thinner.
Right, he wants to reduce the excess fat.
Okay.
And my second question is there any mention of the punishment of the adab al-qabr, basically, in the Holy Quran? Is it mentioned there?
Okay.
And my third question is it permissible for a woman to travel to, not exactly travel, or you can say just to commute with a driver alone for the sake of learning deen, or for tahfiz basically?
Okay.
And my last question is it permissible to like keep diapers, or milk box containers which have pictures of babies on them? They usually, that's how they come these days, right?
Okay.
So is it permissible, or should we cover it with something?
Okay.
Okay, thank you. Jazakallah.
Wajazakum. Okay. Abdul Karim had 4 questions. And the first one is the liposuction, I think they call it. And this is a surgery that they do where they take the excess and extra fat from the body so that a person would lose like 5, 10, maybe 15 kgs. And is this permissible? It is permissible, inshallah, because this is part of removing what is an abnormality, and it's harmful. It's not changing the creation of Allah Azza wa Jal. This is something a person added, and it's harmful for his body. However, there are conditions. One, that it must not have side effects, and it shouldn't be harmful, because in some cases, the diversion of the stomach and the clipping, and sometimes we see people die out of this, and not 1 or 2 cases, maybe more. So if it's dangerous, the probability of danger is present, and the pros are far less than the cons, in this case we say it's haram. Secondly, we have to make as much as possible sure that the awra is not exposed, in the sense that not all those who are doing this are men. So, and this is another big issue, which the Ministry of Health and the doctors and the surgeons and the hospital owners are addressed by it. Yani, these are our honor, these are our ird, our wives, our sisters, our daughters, our mothers. No one would like to see his mother exposed on the surgery theater, on the table, and men come and look at her while she's sedated as nothing is on her. This is inappropriate, but this is a different topic. So you should try your level best to have the surgery done with a female, and as much as female staff as possible. And I hope, inshallah, there's nothing wrong in that. She says, is there any evidence backing up the torment of the grave in the Quran? There is. There is the ayah in Surah Ghafir, where Allah Azza wa Jal talks about the followers of Pharaoh, about Pharaoh and his followers, that they are displayed to hell in the evening and in the morning, and on the day of judgment they will enter hell full time. And likewise in Surah As-Sajdah, that they will be tormented, the minor and small torment, until they will face the bigger torment on the day of judgment, which is a hellfire. And there are other evidences, and it is part of Ahlul Sunnah wal Jama'ah to believe in the torment of the grave. The hadith are overwhelming, the ayat in the Quran. Nobody rejects Adhab al-Qabr except probably the Khawarij and the Mu'tazila. But for the Ahlul Sunnah wal Jama'ah, it is part of their faith. She asks in the third question, what's the ruling on being alone with the driver within the city, and he is taking us to Quran classes or to learn the deen? The answer was given to us by the Prophet ﷺ, who said that it is not permissible for a man to be in seclusion with a woman, and whenever a man is in seclusion with a woman, then the shaitan is their third. So if we look at that vehicle, the driver and the woman, they're two. So the third one is shaitan without any doubt, and this is totally prohibited. Muhammad from, well actually, Teresa from Greece? Or Muhammad from Sudan? Okay. Teresa?
Hello?
Yes, Teresa.
Good evening. I'd like to ask a question.
Yes.
You know, I am Catholic.
Okay.
And I like to watch your program. I've been watching your program on TV, and I'm watching at the moment Huda. And the thing is, I'm sorry to say this, but you people don't get baptized. And I read in the Bible that once people don't get baptized, they don't go to heaven. Do you understand?
You say that people who do not get baptized will not go to heaven?
Go? Yes, yes. I read in the Bible, Jesus was baptized by John the Baptist.
Okay.
Remember, then I read in the Bible that Jesus was baptized by John the Baptist.
What about the Muslims?
The Muslims, they don't get baptized. I worry if they don't get saved.
I will answer your question, and I hope that you listen even more to Huda, inshallah. Thank you for calling.
Okay, thank you. Must I switch off the phone?
I will answer you now.
Oh,
Okay. Teresa from Greece is asking a very beautiful question. She says that she's a Catholic and she watches Huda TV program, and may Allah Azza wa Jal expand her chest and open her heart to the truth and guide her to whatever pleases the Creator of the heavens and the earth. And she says that John the Baptist baptized Jesus Christ, peace be upon them both, as it is stated in the Bible. And she says, why don't the Muslims baptize? And I tell her with great pride that it is part of our religion that every single male Muslim is baptized. See, you have almost 1.7 billion Muslims worldwide. And if we say that we have, like, men are less than women, so if we have 700 million men who are Muslims, I challenge anyone to go and check, and he would not find even 0.00001% who are not baptized. This is part of our religion. The Prophet said, alayhi salatu wasalam, when a child is 7 days old, there are a number of rituals to be performed. One of them is that his hair is shaved, weighed, and we give the weight in silver to charity, to the poor. And we slaughter 2 rams for the baby boy. And we circumcise the boy on the 7th day, and we name him on the 7th day. These are some of the rituals that we do. So I falling that this is definitely part of Islam. You can check it anywhere you want. There is a famous and beautiful website for you to visit every now and then. And this site is very well trusted. It is www.islamqa.info. It's very easy, islamqa.info, and it has detailed information about this issue. Thank you for calling, Teresa. We have a short break. Stay tuned, and inshallah we'll be right back. Assalamu alaikum and welcome back. Abdul Karim's final question was about diapers and baby milk. They have lots of photographs and pictures on them. So what's the ruling on them? The ruling is that you have to try your level best to cover them with a blanket, with any type of bed sheet when you pray. But these are so widely spread that it might be difficult not to purchase these things. But inshallah, as long as you try to cover them when you pray, that this would be sufficient, inshallah. Abdullah's question says that, who am I? And the minute I read this, I said, how would I know? But then he goes on, he says, sometimes I feel that I'm a good Muslim, a student of knowledge, and sometimes I feel that I'm the worst person, that Allah Azza wa Jal is hating me. I love Islam, I love Allah, but my heart and mind are not affected always. I'm living in a non-Muslim country, but I try to follow Allah's rules. Help me to find myself. First of all, this is a trap of shaitan. See, the heart in Arabic is qalb, and it's in Arabic, it was called qalb because it flips, it turns. So a person changes, the mood changes, and this is where shaitan is good at work. He knows when it is the right time for a person to change, so he is anticipating to strike, and he strikes hard. These feelings you're getting, these are from shaitan, from the whispers of Satan, from your own shortcomings. If you open the door a bit to sin, it tarnishes your heart, and then there are forces fighting inside of you, and you don't know which one to listen to. The Prophet tells us, alayhi salatu wasalam, that each of us has a devil and he has an angel, and each devil has a whispering of evil and promising you poverty, while the angel is asking you and requesting you that you do good, and he is telling you that Allah Azza wa Jal has good for you as well. So this is life. You have to define your road and your objective. Keep on doing good things. Keep on doing what Allah loves of you. And fearing to be a hypocrite or to be the worst person, this is a positive fear because it drives you forward. If it keeps you lag behind and sit down, then this is negative. But as long as it's making you, it's energizing you, it's encouraging you to step forward and to move on and to ask Allah Azza wa Jal for help, to associate yourself with those who are practicing Muslims and pious and students of knowledge, this is inshallah in your own favor. So akhi, don't lose hope, don't give up, don't allow shaitan to pull you down. On the contrary, abide by Allah's rope and hold on to it, and it will pull you up with the grace of Allah. We have Farhat from Saudi Arabia.
Assalamu alaikum, Sheikh.
Samtullah.
Sheikh, I have one more question. Is second marriage compulsory in Islam for a widow, or can she remain single for her remaining life?
Okay,
after?
I will answer you inshallah.
Jazakallah.
She's asking Farhat about a widow getting married. Is it compulsory? And whether she's a widow or a single woman, the answer is the same. It depends on her needs. It depends on the conditions. So if she's a widow with children and she's afraid for the sake of the children that they will be lost and they would suffer, and she doesn't have a need for a man, she's quite content, and there are women like this. In this case, there's no problem for her staying single. But if she's unable to afford spending on the house or on herself or children, she begs for money, or she fears fitna, she is weak and she has her human needs as anyone else does, in this case it becomes recommended, if not mandatory. So we have the greatest example of Salama, for example. May Allah be pleased with her. When her husband died, Abu Salama, the Prophet sent to her after the iddah period was over, proposing to her. And she said, I'm an old woman and I have children and I'm extremely jealous. So the Prophet said, I'm older than you and I will take care of your children, and I ask Allah Azza wa Jal to take away your jealousy. And she married him and she became the mother of the believer. Abu Abdul Karim from Saudi.
Assalamu alaikum.
Salamtullah.
How are you, Sheikh?
I'm fine, Jazakallah khair.
We love you, Sheikh, for your lot of information that you provide us.
Jazakallah khair, barakallah fik, akhi.
Sheikh, I need to ask you like a personal thing, like can we reach you in Jeddah? I know that you are living in Jeddah, so there is a place that you give lectures or something in Jeddah where we can reach you on it?
Yes, you can call me on my mobile, akhi, if you wish, and you can visit me in my masjid on Jum'ah or on Mondays and Wednesdays when I give Hari dars after Isha.
Can we have your number, Sheikh?
Online, I think you will take it from the brothers in the control. Okay. They will give it to you, inshallah. Okay. Zahir says, are wadi and madi najis? Should clothes be changed if they get on it? Let me give a brief description. Wadi and madhi, these are discharges that come from a man's male organ. And you can add to that mani, and also you can add to that urine. So these are the four things that usually come out of a man's a person's private parts. Wadi usually is emitted when a person is extremely in cold conditions, cold weather, or if he carries heavy things and it's yellowish and a little bit sticky. Madhi is something that is emitted and discharged when there is foreplay or someone's sexual desire was aroused. Many is semen. We know that it is ejaculated, and urine is what you know of. All of these are najis with the exception of many. So madhi and wadi and urine, they're all najis. They have to be washed, and a person has to perform wudu if he wants to pray afterwards. Muhammad says, I thought too much on Allah and His creation, and I went very far. Now I'm trying to become a good Muslim. Whenever I pray, I concentrate too much on my words in order to understand which is making me upset, and also giving me headaches. And also when I'm asking dua or making dhikr, I try to make it more deep, as if I want to feel that He is listening, but still that thoughts are not going. My nafs is going bad. Advice. Well, akhi, again, OCD. A lot of the Muslims have this compulsive disorder, and this is due of shaitan whispering to them. Now listen, shaitan is an expert. His expertise go as far as Adam, peace be upon him. So you're talking about hundreds and thousands of years. If he has a CV, man, it's going to be extremely long. And he knows exactly how to lure people and how to put them down. He looks at a person, and if he sees that he is lacking in strength of faith, then he tells him to ignore lots of things. So if he wants to pray, akhi, it's okay. If you don't wash this area, it's okay. You've washed your hands. If you don't, you're not sure you made wudu or not, khalas, pray, no problem. If you missed a prayer, it's okay. You prayed for the whole day. So he continues to focus on this until the man is totally away from Islam. But if he finds that a person is a little bit strong in his deen, then he stresses on him. He tightens the grip. So if he washes his hands 3 times, he says, why don't you make them 5? More better than less. And if he washes them 5 times, he says, why don't you have ghusl for every prayer? This is more cleaner, it's better for you. And he keeps on telling him, why don't you repeat the prayer? Maybe you missed something. Maybe you said something wrong, like what's happening to you. So the best way for you to save your soul and to run away from such whispers is that you ignore. Whenever it tells you, maybe you did this, ignore it. Don't do it. Don't repeat it. Maybe you said something wrong. Don't repeat it. Maybe you prayed something less. Don't repeat it. If you manage to fight this yourself, inshallah, within 5 days, you'll be free as a bird. Abdul Rahman from Saudi Arabia.
Assalamu alaikum, Sheikh.
Salamullah.
Sheikh, I have 2 questions.
Yes.
First one, I just want to know our Prophet ﷺ, how many daughters and how many sons he was having.
Okay.
And the another question, someone told me that before marrying our Prophet ﷺ to Bibi Khatija, he told that one of my wife is there already in the paradise, that is Bibi Asiya. I want to know this is true or...
Okay, I will answer you, inshallah. Abdul Rahman has 2 questions. The first question about the offspring of the Prophet ﷺ. And as we know that the Prophet had Abdullah, and he had Ibrahim, and he had Al-Qasim, and he had Ruqayya, Kulthum, Zainab, and Fatima. And Ibrahim, of course, which was from Maria Qibtiyya. So the first 6 were from Khadija, may Allah be pleased with her, and the 7th, who was Ibrahim, who died in his infancy, was from Maria, the Coptic. And the second question was that is it true that the Prophet said, that Asiya is his wife, Asiya, the wife of Pharaoh, is she his wife in paradise? And there is no hadith related to this, so this is not authentic at all. Safiya has a question. She says, I promised my elder brother to take him for Umrah, but he has debts with the credit card. Can we go for Umrah, or should I give him the money to pay his debts instead? No. First of all, that you have to clear his debts, because this is more important than the Umrah. Is it? Yeah, the answer is yes. The Prophet said, alayhi salatu wasalam, every sin for a martyr, for a shaheed, is forgiven. All of his sins are forgiven except the debts. So if a man goes and fights in the cause of Allah in a just war for the sake of Allah in defense of Islam, and he dies as a martyr, all of his sins, the previous sins that he had done, will be forgiven, with the exception of debts. This is what Allah will not forgive. So it is extremely important that he pays off the debts. Now, if his debts are interest-based, then this man is falling into a major sin. This is riba. So all the visas, MasterCards, American Express, Carte Blanche, etc., all of these are haram because they are riba-based. They charge you if you pass the grace period. So if you feel and sense that your brother is remorseful, he's sad, he's depressed, and he is repenting to Allah, never to ever get these debts back again, pay off his debts and take him to Umrah, inshallah, and Allah would accept this. Muhammad Hassan says that last Friday when I went to the mosque for praying Jum'ah, I missed one rak'ah of the Jum'ah, and I got another rak'ah with the Imam. Is my prayer valid? The answer is yes. As long as you have managed to pray one rak'ah with the Imam, you pray full rak'ah afterwards, and your Jum'ah is accepted. But if the Imam in the second rak'ah said, Sami Allahu liman hamidah, and then you joined him onwards, when he gives salam, you have to pray 4 rak'ahs because you've missed the Jum'ah, because you've missed the second rak'ah with him. This is missing the Jum'ah, and hence you have to pray Dhuhr and not Jum'ah. Again, we have Farhat from Saudi Arabia.
Assalamu alaikum, Sheikh.
Assalamualaikum.
Sheikh, just now you just mentioned about the death. So, if a person dies with the debts on him, so his relative or his wife, if they clear it after his death, still he will be punished for those.
Okay.
If his relatives clears his debt.
I will answer your question, inshallah.
Okay, Jazakallah.
We have a lot of hadiths frightening us from debts. For example, when the Prophet ﷺ, whenever they brought him a funeral to pray, he would ask, does he have debt on him? If they say yes, he says, pray on him. And if they say no, he prays funeral prayer on him. So it shows how scary this is. This was at the beginning of the time, and later on the Prophet ﷺ used to pay off the debts of deceased people from the treasury of the Muslims. This is unfortunately not applicable nowadays for many reasons. So if a person dies with debts on him, and his wife, his children, his family pay off this debt, then he is cleared. But definitely, the first thing to be done after a person dies is to take portion of his money to prepare his body, shroud it, bury it. Then secondly, we have to take from his wealth, what he has left, to pay off his debts. If we manage to do that, alhamdulillah, then we go on to look into his will. If he kept a will saying, give this person 100,000, give that person so and so, we execute the will, providing it's less than 1/3 of his inheritance. If it's more than 1/3, we do not execute except 1/3. And finally, if there were to remain something, then we give it to the inheritance as mentioned by Allah Azza wa Jalla in the Quran, by the Sunnah of the Prophet alayhi salatu wassalam. Okay, Fahima or Fahmida? No, it's Fahmida. She says, if two biologically related sisters got into an argument and stopped speaking to each other for 2 months, but they still say salam to each other, is it okay? Definitely it's not. If they're not blood related, this is okay. So if my neighbor and I have arguments, so I say, listen, I'm going to play it cool. I'm not going to visit him every single day as I used to. But if I see him in the masjid, if I see him in the street, when we meet at the entrance of the building, say, Assalamu alaikum, how are things? This is fine. But when it's your sibling, when it's your brother or sister, this is not fine at all. You have to connect to them. You have to not have any things that are hurdles or obstacles in your relationship, and try to move it for the sake of Allah Azza wa Jal. Abdullah says, is this correct? All of the creation was created by Allah, even the things Allah that we were granted the ability to make, like a table, for example. We would say that the table is a creation of Allah also, even though humans assembled it by the permission of Allah. Can we directly say that the table is a creation of Allah, like humans and creation of Allah? First of all, you have to make a difference. See, when people say the creation of Allah, they usually refer to animals, humans, birds, things that people did not make. It is the creation of Allah Azza wa Jal. However, everything you see other than Allah is the creation of Allah. So this pen is the creation of Allah Azza wa Jal. Okay, it's made in Hong Kong or in Taiwan or in China, regardless. Those who made it are humans. Allah made them, and He made everything you see on earth and in the heavens. Even Allah's throne is a creation of Allah Azza wa Jal. So the Prophet alayhi salatu wasalam, or even more, Allah in the Quran says, when Ibrahim was talking to his people, Wallahu khalaqakum wa ma ta'malun. So it is Allah who created you and whatever you're crafting, whatever you're doing. So the deeds of humans are creation of Allah Azza wa Jal. The idols that the humans do and worship other than Allah, it is the creation of Allah. So everything is the creation of Allah the Almighty. Lean says, can we use emoticons? I hope I'm saying it right. Between brackets, smiley faces, while chatting with friends that are not of the opposite gender? The answer is yes. Smiley faces are not drawings, are not creation meant to imitate the creation of Allah Azza wa Jal, because they don't have life in it. And because they don't have life in it, scholars have a long dispute, but they don't have an eye, they don't have an ear, a nose, a mouth, a full-fledged face to it, and there is no life existing in it. Therefore, if you're using it not with the opposite gender, with the same gender, this is permissible, inshaAllah Azza wa Jal. We have Abdul Shakur from?
This is permissible, inshaAllah Azza wa Jal. We have Abdul Shakur from?
Abdullah, hello.
Yes, Abdul Shakur, listen to me from the phone, please. Where are you from?
I'm from Libya.
Yeah, Abdul Shakur, listen to me from.
Okay, what can I do for you?
I'm from Libya.
Okay, what can I do for you?
Yeah, Sheikh. I'm from Libya.
Yeah, Abdul Shakur, listen to me from the phone. Mute your TV.
I'm very happy today to see this program.
Yeah, Abdul Shakur, listen to me from the phone. Mute your TV.
I'm very happy today.
Yes, Abdul Shakur. Well, I think we've lost Abdul Shakur. Okay, I think we have like a few minutes left. I was expecting people to ask me about the ruling on the massacre that took place 4 days or 5 days ago in Pakistan, in Peshawar, where a number of terrorists rampaged a school, killing about 130 plus school children. And we didn't get such questions. So I've been getting emails, people asking, is this permissible? Is this part of Islam? And I don't even understand how can people ask such a question. It is totally prohibited in Islam to kill innocent people. It is prohibited by the Prophet ﷺ to kill children or to kill women. The Prophet ﷺ saw once a hen, a bird, that was terrified because some of the companions took her chicks. So he said, who frightened this with her chicks? Return it back to her. So frightening an animal, a bird, like that is prohibited. So what's the ruling on frightening mothers, sisters with their own children, like what had happened? Is there any justification? Wallahi, there is no justification, none whatsoever. This was a barbaric attack done by people with no mercy in their hearts, done with people that have no connection to Islam. they may claim that they are defending their lands or they're defending their ideology. They do not relate to Islam. I'm not giving them takfir. Now be careful. Takfir is a different issue. It's a different ball game. But I say what they are doing is not representing Islam. Like those who appear on Arab Idol or Arab Got Talent or these corrupt programs, they don't represent Islam. They don't relate to Islam. I'm not giving them takfir as well. But they do not represent Islam. This is not our religion. They say that killing those children is in reprisal and avenging the children that were killed by the drones attacks and by different reasons or for different reasons. Is this applicable? The answer is no, it's not applicable. If we have a wrong act, this does not justify another wrong act. Two wrongs do not make a right. So if someone rapes your wife, if the kafir, for example, they rape Muslim women, is this a carte blanche for Muslim men to go and rape non-Muslim women? So, touche? Definitely not. This is haram act by itself. What kind of a religion they are doing? So these children, they're innocent. They are not to be killed. And even more, see, if a woman should not be killed, but what about if a woman is a fighter pilot, or she is a warrior carrying guns and coming to kill people? Scholars say that without any doubt she has to be killed because she's a fighter. In the case of children, if they carry a gun and they start fighting, if you can abduct them without killing them, this is a must. Why? Because these children don't have logic. They don't know what's happening. It's like an insane person with an AK-47 killing people. He doesn't know what's happening. So you don't kill him in reprisal. And if a mad non-Muslim person kills Muslims, do we go and kill all the crazy people there? This is not applicable at all. So this barbaric act is unjustifiable. It's totally prohibited. And those who have done it are criminals. If you know anything about them, report them, let them spend the rest of their lives in prisons, if not executed as a punishment for what they've done. This is the ruling and this is the responsibility of the Muslim ruler. May Allah give mercy to their parents, and may Allah Azza wa Jal give them something in return that would give their hearts coolness and satisfaction. Khalid from Saudi Arabia.
Sheikh, Assalamu alaikum.
Salamtullah.
Please, I want to ask about using a hand to ejaculate sperm from one private part. Is it permissible in Islam? Because of some of the states in the kingdom exploit at times because they are away from their families. They used to, because of the disturb they have, they used to ejaculate sperm with their hand in order to, to have a little bit in their temper.
Okay.
How in Islam is it?
Okay, I will answer your question, inshallah.
Thank you, sir.
You're welcome. The issue of masturbation, Khalid is asking about a person who is far away from his family and he's a bit frustrated and sometimes he's under pressure. So is it permissible for him to use what is known as a secret habit or masturbation to relieve himself a little bit or relieve himself, whatever? The answer is it's an issue of dispute. But the majority of scholars say that it is not permissible. Because the Prophet ﷺ, when he was addressing the youth, he said, Ya ma'shar al-shabab, man istata'a minkum al-ba'a falyatazawwaj. Whoever is capable financially and physically to get married, he should do so. And whoever is not able to do so, that is to get married, then he should fast. And he did not direct them to masturbating, which means that the Prophet would not direct us except to the best, and whatever else is not, then it is not a part of the sunnah, and it might even be more than that. And this is why Allah mentioned this in Surah Al-Mu'minun and Surah Al-Ma'arij, where he says, وَالَّذِينَ هُمْ لِفُرُوجِهِمْ حَافِظُونَ إِلَّا على أزواجهم أو ما ملكت أيمانهم فإنهم غير ملومين فمن ابتغى وراء ذلك فأولئك هم العادون. And those who preserve and keep their chastity and private parts except from their wives and their concubines. And whoever seeks anything else, meaning masturbation, then he is a transgressor. So scholars say that doing so, that is masturbation, is considered to be part of the transgression that a person should avoid. Now, in very minimal cases, very rare cases, it might be permissible if the doctors, for example, say that it's a must. So if a person is in a medical condition and he has to undergo tests, lab tests for one reason or the other, or the doctor says that you have to do this procedure now because it has reached a level that would harm you, in this case it's permissible. But to open it and say that it's completely permissible as long as you are far away from your wife, this would be an act of transgression, despite the fact that it is physically harmful and it has bad consequences on the relationship between the spouses. I'm afraid that we don't have any more questions on the emails, and it seems that we don't have any questions on the callers list. So we conclude our program with this. Until we meet you next Saturday, same time, I leave you fi amanillah. Wassalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Allah is my heart's speech, your mercy is what I beseech. Keep in my heart your remembrance and in your deen